Okay, grade 8. Now we're going to be talking about rectangular prisms. Remember, we're talking about 3D shapes. Previously, when you might have thought about prisms, you might have thought they could only be triangular. But in fact, we could have rectangle prisms as well. Let's go straight into this. A rectangle is a shape with 6 sides perpendicular to one another. They do not have to be the same length. So here's an example of a rectangle. We have a height, we have a length, and we have a depth. Right? A rectangle prism has a length, that's what our L stands for, our height, H, and a depth, D. If and only if length equals height equals depth, it becomes a cube, right? So if the height equals depth, but not the length, it is still not a cube. Only if all 3 of those are equal to each other, it becomes a cube. For example, here's another rectangle with a height, a length, and a depth. Still a rectangle. Okay, so we have our rectangular prism. We have an L for length, H height, D depth. What is the surface area of this rectangular prism? Surface area is the total area of all the outside sides of the shape. All these outside areas, right? So what is the area of a rectangle? Not a rectangular prism, just a 2D, not 3D, 2D rectangle. Well, you know the area of a rectangle is length times breadth. We don't have a breadth here, but remember, length and breadth can just be simply the 2 sides. What I want to do now is I want to take this rectangle. Imagine it's a cardboard box that you've made, and I want to cut it along one of the edges, and I want to roll it out. Do you see what I've done here? These are the 2 sides over here and here that is there and would be on the other side. This would be our rectangle. This would be our D, right? So all of this is our D. That's our depth over here. So this line here is this line here. Try to get a good understanding of what it is. You could cut this out in paper and create a rectangle. H is our height. Here is our height here. You've got our height. This line here would in fact be that line there, depending how you're looking at it. Don't get too confused. Cut this out with some paper, draw it, play around, you will understand it much better. We have our depth again, because now we're talking about this line there, which is this line here. We have our height again here, which would be the back line over here. So if this was, or the front rather, if this was brought to the front, that would be our height over here. If we folded this up, so we swung it up, okay, we have a height here. These are the heights here. That would be the same line, because these 2 would connect here, and that would be connecting there. We have a height again. Do you understand how these would be touching? We have our length, which is quite obvious. You can see that that is our length. So what is the area of this? The area of this one is our length, and we don't have breadth, but we're going to call it depth. What is the area of this one? Length times height, the same length times the height. What about this rectangle? Length times depth. You might be noticing that this is exactly the same as this. And what is this? The 2 side ones, that's height times depth on the right. Again, a length times a height, which is these 2 are the same. And then we have a height times depth. Now we have these 2 and I've highlighted green, and that is the area of this side of the shape. And these 2 I've highlighted orange, and that is the top and bottom of this rectangular prism. And the blue I've left for the sides. Maybe that'll give you a better understanding of what is happening here. So what is the surface area? Well, remember that's our height times our depth there. Our surface area of a rectangular prism is 2 of these, because remember these are the same over here. I'm drawing circles. These are the same over here. I'm drawing rectangles. And these are the same here. I'm drawing triangles. So the surface area of a rectangular prism is 2 length times height. You can see there's 1 here and 2 here. 2 length times depth. You can see there's 1 here and 2 here. And then 2 height times depth. And you can see there's 1 here and 2 here. That makes sense. We can simplify that to take the 2 as a common factor out. Length times height, length times depth, height times depth. Okay, let's look at the volume of a rectangular prism. Remember, we don't say area anymore, we say volume, as in a volume of water. So we have our volume of a cube, which is S times S times S, and those are these three S's. And this creates the volume of a cube, which is S cubed. That's the volume of a cube. Now the volume of a rectangle is very similar, but you have a height, you have a length, and you have a depth. So the volume of a rectangular prism, instead of timesing those three together, is simply the multiplication of H multiplied by L multiplied by D, which we just write HLD. And that is the volume of our rectangular prism. Let's look at some examples. We have a rectangular prism, that's not meant to be there, that has sides of 4 meters, 3 meters, and 2 meters. Draw and label the shape. Right, so we know there's a 4 meters is our longest side, then we have a 3 meter side, so we have our 4 and 3, oops. That is 3 over there, that is 4, and then we have a 2 meter depth, 2 meter there. Doesn't matter how you draw this, as long as you label it correctly. So that's also 3, and this is a 2 meter depth here. Make sure you write your meters. I'm going to ignore this one. Okay, so we've drawn and labeled the shape. Calculate the surface area of the shape. What is the surface area? We could go SA of a rectangle. We're just going to write RET, or RECT rather. Rectangular prism. So the surface area is 2 multiplied by HL plus, remember it's a plus, now not HL, okay, remember that this is our height, this is our length, and this is our depth. So we need a combination of all three, so we now have DL, and what two haven't we done? We haven't done HD. That makes sense. So this is 2. What is the height of 3 meters multiplied by the length of, okay, I'm just going to write it. So that is 3 meters. I'm just putting a dot as a multiplication. What is the length? 4 plus a depth of 2 meters multiplied by a length of 4 plus a height of 3 meters multiplied by a depth of 2. So this is, we're going to times it out, 2 multiplied by 12 plus 8 plus 6, and that is equal to 2 multiplied by, that's 26, and 2 multiplied by 26 is 52 meters squared, and that is the length or the surface area of our rectangular prism. Okay, what is the volume of the shape? Okay, so we know quite simply that the volume of a rectangular prism, we're just going to say rect, is equal to the length times the height times the side, or the depth. And that is equal to, what is the length? The length is 4 meters. We're going to put brackets around it now. What is the height? 3 meters. What is the depth? 2 meters. What is 4 multiplied by 3? We know that is equal to 12. What is 2 multiplied by 12, or 12 multiplied by 2? That is 24 meters cubed. Remember, we got to have our meters cubed. Okay, let's have a look at another example. We have a rectangular prism that has sides, square sides of 2 centimeters and a length of 1.2 centimeters. Okay, square sides. Remember, we've seen the word square, so it means that it must be equal. So the square sides are 2 meters, and then the length is 2 centimeters, and the length is 1.2 centimeters. So we're going to say we have our square sides of 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, and then this length, we're just going to call it a depth of 1.2 centimeters. And that is simply our rectangle. Oops, gone over here, but that's fine. Calculate the surface area of the prism. Okay, the surface area, we know that surface area of a rectangular prism is equal to 2 multiplied by LH plus LD plus HD. Remember the formula. And that is 2 LH, remember we can choose anyone to be our length, anyone to be our depth, so that's 2 multiplied by 2 plus a length and a depth is 2 multiplied by 1.2, And then again, the length and the height and the depth are exactly the same. That's 2 multiplied by 1.2. It's bad to draw that like that, so we'll put brackets around those. Okay, so what is 2 multiplied by 2? We know that that is 4 plus. What is 1.2 multiplied by 2? That is 2.4 plus another 2.4. Right, so that is 2. What is 2.4 plus 2.4? That is 4.8. 4 plus 4.8 is 8.8. What is 2 multiplied by 8.8? We know that 2 multiplied by 8 is 16. 0.8 times 2 is 1.6. So 16 plus 1.6 is equal to 17.6. So the answer is, I'm going to write it over here, 17.6, and that's not finished, centimeters, not meters, squared. And that is our answer. Okay, let's calculate the volume of the prism. That's much easier. Volume of prism, sorry, we can rather write volume of rectangular prism if we want, and that is equal to the length times the height times the depth, and that is equal to 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1.2. What is 2 multiplied by 2? We know that is 4 multiplied by 1.2. What is 4 multiplied by 1.2? We know that's 4 multiplied by 1 is 4, plus 0.2 multiplied by 4 is 0.8. So that is 4.8 centimeters cubed. Do not forget your units. Well done, grade 8s. We're now going to move on to triangular prisms.